Today, I'm going to talk about all the things that I love about being a TC. Number one, the thing that I love the most about being a transaction coordinator is learning. So I am a person that's always going to be a student. I love soaking up knowledge. I listen to, don't read, a ton of audiobooks all the time. I am always out searching for the newest insights or the best practices. And when you work in real estate transactions, you find yourself always needing to learn something new. So I appreciate that. I love sharing that information with my agents to make them more knowledgeable. And it is just really kind of an exciting space to be in because I've been in the business for 10 years and I am still learning stuff every single day. There's not an amount of knowledge that you can have in this business that will keep you from still having questions, still having to call legal hotlines or ask brokers or talk to the legal advisors to make sure that the files are done correctly. Number two, I really love the freedom, right? So when you're a real estate agent, when I was a real estate agent, you're kind of at the beck and call of the clients that you have at the time. You're out showing houses at all times, often in the evenings or on the weekends. You're doing open houses and things like that on the weekends. So as a transaction coordinator, when I made this transition, it is all virtual. So I love to go into the offices that I work in and talk to agents and maybe work from the office a couple days a week, or just go in and give my TC tidbits or do trainings and things like that. But for the most part, I am totally virtual. I get to work at home in my happy space. I have a 4-year-old and a 12-year-old, so it's very convenient when I can still work and, be working while my older son is at a training. Or like, for example, today, I took my 4-year-old to the park and I just brought my laptop so I could still be available to the agents that I'm working with. I sent some emails and did some things like that, but he got to play at the park for an hour. So that is one of my favorite things about being a transaction coordinator. The other thing that I love about being a TC is building long-term relationships. So agents really do rely on you and often will end up using the same TC for years, 5, 10, 15, I've heard of 20, 25 years of people working together. So when you get to build those long-term relationships, the agents that you're working with and the team that you're working with, they really do become your family. So that just makes things so much more relaxed when you really know who you're working with. You start to understand the preferences of the different agents, what they need, the reminders that they need, and maybe the reminders that they don't need. But it is a long-term relationship. Unlike real estate, where you're dealing with clients for a couple months at a time, maybe, and you obviously do your follow-up and you send emails and you're keeping them informed, but you don't really get to communicate with them that frequently. When you're a transaction coordinator, as long as you're working with agents who are doing transactions, you're going to be talking to them, and you really do build solid relationships and friendships that way. The other thing that I guess would say I prefer over the time that I spent as an agent was the consistency. So instead of relying on transactions throughout the year, where you could maybe have 1 in January and 6 in June, it's way more consistent because you're going to be working with agents of all variety, doing all different types of transactions. So your income is way more consistent. And I just appreciate that. As someone who likes consistency in the organization, it is a lot easier for me to manage that way. So if you're a high C like me, if you've ever taken a DISC assessment, you know that those people really like organization. We really like to keep things structured. We're really analytical. So if you have that personality type, it probably will go really well with being a transaction coordinator. You'll find that you're enjoying the work that you do. So if you're a high C like me, then you'll probably find that you really enjoy a lot of the work transaction coordinators do. Most agents are either a high I or a high D, and those two personality types do not care much for the organization and the structure. And that's why they have us to support them, because we can do it all for them, and we're in our happy place and they stay in theirs, where they're talking to their clients and building those relationships. and we just keep everything together. The last and final thing that I love about being a transaction coordinator is the appreciation. So the agents really appreciate when you send them these reminders. They really appreciate when you take the initiative to respond to emails if you can before they have to, or to send the documents for DocuSign immediately. They appreciate all the things that you do. And so especially when agents go out of their way to tell me thank you or that I did a great job, it makes me feel like I'm being appreciated and I have value. And you will get a lot of appreciation from the brokers that you're working with. If the files are cleaner and we're getting all the signatures and all the T's are crossed and all the I's are dotted, and they can limit their liability, they appreciate that as well. They'll help to promote you to other agents and things like that. So you really do a great service for everyone as long as you are reliable and consistent and you know your stuff and you take the time to educate yourself. Everyone is really happy in our transactions. So those are the things that I really appreciate. So if you are an agent maybe that is part-time and you're looking to go full-time, if you're looking to educate yourself more in the industry, if you're trying to find your way in, starting as a transaction coordinator can really provide you with a wealth of knowledge if you do want to transition into being a realtor. Or like I said, the other way around, well, maybe you're a realtor and you don't like that inconsistency, or maybe you're not a high I, you don't really appreciate talking to people that much and you'd be more comfortable behind a computer screen and you really like organizing things. And it's an opportunity for you to kind of stay in your industry and use the knowledge that you've built up until this time, but just in another way. So please leave your email below if you're interested in finding out more about what transaction coordinators even do. Hit the like button if you appreciate this video. I'm gonna come back on here and I'm going to give more of my TC tidbits in more detail. I find that I'm always cutting down a lot of detail out of the tidbits that I do on my Instagram. So if you're looking for more information in more detail, I'm gonna be sharing a lot of tips and tricks here on YouTube. So thanks for joining. If you choose to follow me on Instagram, you will find lots of TC tips, lots of organization tips that agents can use, other transaction coordinators can use to help further their business and to just stay in that nice, clean, tidy workspace, which for most of us is our email these days.